welcome to the regular business meeting of the Scarborough School Board of Education. The date is Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. Can I have the attendance, please?
Sure. Mrs. Giftis? Here. Ms. Caselonis?
Here.
Mr. Kelleher?
Here.
Ms. Leong?
Here.
Mrs. Lindstrom?
Here.
Ms. Trapani Huff?
Here.
Mrs. Turner?
Here.
Ms. Giftis?
Here.
And Ms. Bertulia is absent this evening.
All right, thank you. Can I have everyone join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Agenda item 4.0 is adjustments to the agenda. Do we have any adjustments this evening?
No adjustments this evening.
All right. Agenda item 5.0 is public comment on agenda items. It doesn't appear we have anybody here. Do we have anybody online? We do not. All right. So seeing no public comments, I will go ahead and close them for the evening. Agenda item 6.0 is the SEF update. Michelle Dewis, is she here with us this evening online?
No, she is not. It's just Leanne.
Yeah. We have the slides.
All right. I think we'll go ahead then and move to agenda item 7.0, which is our superintendent's report. So I'll turn this over to you, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Got one slide for folks this evening. We'll let advance through the SEF slides here. First, just a few updates at the school level. In K-2 land, we've got our second round of vaccine for the second shot clinics coming up following a similar pattern and schedule next week. So our 5 to 11-year-olds will be getting their second shots and that much closer, 2 weeks away from being fully vaccinated, which is very exciting. K-2 students continue to plug away this fall and are getting back into routines. And for a lot of them, new routines of being in school every day, but every week seems to get smoother and smoother. So it's great being in schools and obviously seeing the classrooms full. At Wentworth, again, as we the board nominated Karen Walker in the previous meeting, so she's off and running as our new assistant principal, and as well as Brem Stoner, our new principal down at Pleasant Hill. So everything is going smoothly. We also had the opportunity to recognize Joanne Sizemore for all of her efforts this fall at Pleasant Hill, which was just, I think she just had so much fun. And it was just such a great way for us to weather a tricky leadership transition. And I just so appreciative of her efforts and being such an important part of Pleasant Hill's opening this fall. So that was just an unexpected and very needed additional support this fall. So a lot of thanks to Joanne for her time with us this fall. At the middle school level, pool testing is underway. So we're 2 weeks in, and the second round of pool testing went significantly faster, and we get more and more efficient at it. And we've also met, together as a high school team to implement pool testing at the high school level starting December 13th. So by December 13th, we'll be fully K-12 with implementing our pool testing. High school also, we had the opportunity last month to acknowledge all of our athletes. Also had 2 of our first live performances back in the building. So the Oak Hill players and Honk November 5th through 13th was wildly successful, and it's just the kids being able to perform live in front of an audience again is so huge. And then the 30th of November, our reunion tour band and chorus performances as well. So just want to recognize the staff and students who are part of that. It's just, those are just such significant moments for our kids. I also had the opportunity to be in Mr. Townsend's room this afternoon for a student council meeting. And so he had invited me, and the student council invited me to just chat about leadership and that kind of thing. And I was just blown away by the kids. They're just so thoughtful in their approaches to what it takes to be leaders among their peers. So we had a nice discussion about leadership, and also I could be in a little trouble because they were trying to think about what they thought my idea, or what I thought of their idea, to have each class dress up as one of the 4 administrators in the building. And I of course told them it was a great idea. So they were very excited to have like a class be Ms. Catch, a class has to be, each of the assistant principals in their class be Mr. Legage as athletic director. And I was like, well, it's not your fault that there's 4 of them. And then we've got 4 classes, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I think it's a great idea. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. As far as on the district level, as I mentioned before, we have vaccine clinics coming up next week. Monday, it's at Pleasant Hill and the middle school. Tuesday at Blue Point and 8 Corners, and then Wednesday at Wentworth. And again, pooled testing is we're going forward with. One of the things that there were some questions about and continues to be some confusion around is implementation of winter athletic COVID protocols. So the MPA did come out with a list of recommendations that were consistent with what we were intending on using as far as our COVID protocols with respect to masking and spectators and all of those things. And we're very consistent across Cumberland County as well as York County with superintendents around keeping all participants in winter athletics masked while they're playing and while they're on the bench. There are some school administrative units, in other parts of the state that have played some games without having their players masked. So that potentially could get interesting. But the way that the MPA is handling that and what they're saying right now is, first of all, with playoffs and everything, masks will be a requirement whether you're vaccinated or not. There are a couple of districts, Portland being one, and Auburn, I believe, being the other, that has implemented a pooled testing requirement or a vaccination requirement for all athletes. So there have been a couple of school administrative units or school boards that have gone that route. Currently, where we are is very consistent with the MPA recommendations, which I put a link to that in the public slides here, which is a 2-page document. There's a lot there, but essentially it's following the current SOP and the current recommendations around universal indoor masking. So that's where we are right now. And if we were in a situation where we were playing a team that was planning on not masking their athletes, we would not play that game. And there would not be any, negative implications of that or consequences of that on record or anything else. But that's where we are with respect to the winter sports. I know there's been a lot of stuff in the press about it and probably will continue to be, but virtually all right now, Cumberland County and York County districts are following the MPA guidance on masking. So other district-wide things is the board, obviously, as we all know, we've got the retreat coming up next week on the 7th and starting to set goals for the year, looking at strategic planning and then workshop topics for the rest of the school year as well. And then budget season is right around the corner. So we're already, as a central office team and as a leadership team, confirming kind of calendar and working out all the dates related to getting started with budget development. And that's all the news fit to print.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Do we have any questions? Any questions? All right. Fantastic, thank you. Agenda item 8.0 is Chair's Report. I will go ahead and say, I understand this looks like an inordinate amount of information and that and that we were gonna sit here for 2 hours, but that's not the case. I just wanted to be sure we all had the information from the Maine School Board Association Delegates Assembly. So I'm not going to read over these, but essentially the Delegates Assembly, just so everybody knows, the Maine School Board Association is the essentially an organization that advocates for school board members. And they do training, professional development for board members as well. So the Delegates Assembly is an opportunity for school board members from around the state to come together to discuss and adopt resolutions. So resolutions are what guides their policymaking when they talk with legislators, their position. So this year there was 61 delegates that came to the meeting. It was Saturday, October 23rd. I was a delegate for Scarborough. And the slides that you see in front of you are just the changes that happened. Everything that we had spoken about in October, all the proposed changes were adopted. All the new resolutions were also adopted. So that's what you see in the slide deck in front of you. So if we just go through quickly, this is just a school board resolution that was a training resolution that was already there. The addition here was just the last sentence where the MSBA thought it was important to give ideas for school board training. All right, next slide. This is their curriculum policy. This was, again, just some changing wording. They added remote. When you read through and they talk about learning opportunities, they added remote based on what they saw from the pandemic and that some students really did well with remote learning. So they wanted that to be an option in there. And then the second thing that they added in here was regional collaboration. And that's just to allow or to recognize that some of our districts work together and share resources. All right, next slide. The third update was funding of service. This is just a word change. It used to say develop funding, and there's no need to develop it anymore because it's there. So now it is just, instead of develop, we are maintaining funding. The next resolution was an update to the administrator shortage. There is MSBA feels that there's a need to have more emphasis placed on administration duties or positions as they become available, so that we have a good qualified pool that's applying for the positions. So what they added here was the establishment of leadership academies, which would lend itself to really creating that pool of candidates. All right, student absenteeism. The change here was that this used to be teacher and student absenteeism. Teacher absenteeism is really not our responsibility. That's as a board member, that is an administrative duty. So they recognize, MSBA recognizes that, and this now only reflects students absenteeism. Multiple pathways. This resolution, the wording was just changed. This used to be alternative programs. That was what the resolution was called, and just to align with what the practice is, the current practice, and to really give this a more positive image, they decided to change the word to multiple pathways, the title. All right, so those, one more change, the teacher evaluation. This is simply just a combination of 3 previous resolutions into one that all covered the same material. So they just made one resolution out of it. So on the changes, is there any questions? Does everybody feels good? All right. The last few are just the new resolutions that were adopted. The first was involving binding arbitration. This really was adopted and talked through because the board members, really the responsibility is to make budgetary decisions that then impact local property taxes. And that shouldn't be an arbitrator's decision. That should really be the school board. That's what we're elected to do. So that's the first one here. The second new resolution is about the right to strike. The MSBA does oppose any legislation that would give school personnel the opportunity to strike because they feel that it disrupts the student support system. All right, and then the next one is learning support. This resolution was adopted to support individual student growth in critical subject areas. All right, and then our last one was dropout prevention. This resolution was adopted. It changes the term of timeline for graduation from the 4 years and then kind of extends it to that 6-year period for some students that just aren't able to graduate within that traditional timeframe. And then the other thing is it aligns the graduation timeline with the new special education eligibility requirements to the 6 years. And that is that. That's a wrap up. It was a long Saturday. It was very interesting. So is there any questions on the new resolutions? All right. And then the only other thing I have was to echo what Jeff already spoke to for us, which is that we have our board retreat next week. So that'll be a really good opportunity to set some goals and lay the framework for this year. So that, and then thank you so much. I know everybody's been working really hard to get oriented to the committees and get an understanding of what's going on. So I appreciate everybody's efforts with that. So thank you. All right, so let's see. Agenda item 9.0 is our committee reports. I know we haven't really been meeting yet, so there's not really, we don't really have reports, but does anybody want to share anything from their committee?
I can give you an update on negotiations.
Sure.
So we've got a few moving parts in negotiations. Obviously, this year is going to be a teacher contract negotiation year. So that's a big undertaking. The school board ratified its end of the contract on October 21st. We're sort of dealing with some issues to get that finalized, hopefully soon on the ESP contract. And that's educational support professionals. We also have the food service and custodian contract that is ongoing before we can probably move on to the teachers. And we're also doing impact bargaining. So it's a lot of moving parts, and you know, with the timelines for the teachers contract coming, it's hard to meet, you know, because it's just, you know, a few of us on the group, and then on the teacher side and the SEA side, it's a revolving series of people, and so to make those meetings work, I think is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but we're up to it. So I'm hoping that we can move forward and get some of this finalized so that we can get to work on what we need to do and get our timelines accomplished.
Thank you, Alicia. Is there any questions for Alicia? Okay, thank you. All right, agenda item 10.0 is student representative reports. Gabby?
Okay, since Yulia is not here, I'm going to be presenting her slides as well. So these videos, 8 Corners had their first community meeting show and shine. Students got up in front of their whole grade level and shared their talents. They had kids dance, sing, show off artwork, gymnastics, and more. Students are working on how to be a good member of the audience and being respectful. So we can watch those videos. So that's very cute. If we can move on to the next slide. True. Okay, so this is at Wentworth. Students have been participating in the Kiwanis Sock and Mitten Drive. These 3 students up in the picture are Finn, Callum, and Ben, and they went above and beyond. They distributed flyers in their neighborhood and collected a huge amount of warm gear. If you look behind them, that was what they had brought in. So congrats, guys, and keep up the hard work. And then this is also at Wentworth. Clubs are back, which is very exciting. They are starting up this week, and kids did not have clubs last year. So I think they're very excited and anxious to get started again. This year's clubs offerings are Digital Photography Club, Homework Club, Writing Team, World Language Club, K-Kids, Literature Club, Art Club, Marimba Club, and Ukulele Club. So lots of offerings there. Okay, and then this is at the middle school. They had a kindness poster contest, and the student council there voted on the winner. And you can see the middle poster was the winner. That is 6th grader Nayasha Gupta, and she won a $60 gift card. And the rest of the posters are beautiful as well, and they're going to be distributed throughout the school. So great message overall. And then this is also at the middle school. The 6th graders participated in Maine Bioscience Day for the 4th year in a row. The Bioscience Association works with local scientists and bioscience companies to show some science careers here in Maine to the students. And then the next day they had a hands-on activity using a glycerin solution, and it modeled a virus membrane. And then they would show how soap broke that membrane. So that shows like how washing the hands, as well as the science careers. And then next slide. Now that we're at the high school now, and on the left, that is a picture of the end of the Oak Hills Players Honk. And as Mr. Bruno said earlier, it's great to see them back on stage in front of a live audience. I know last year, I think they had a virtual performance. And so it's just so great to see now. And then on the right, a club at Scarborough High School is Sources of Strength, and we partner with National Alliance for Mental Illness. And the goal of the club is to just promote mental health and show leadership on how to, there's like a wheel, and you derive things from the wheel, such as families, spirituality, mentors. And they hosted a thankfulness challenge during lunch where people would write down 3 things they're thankful for, and we hung them up on the school. You can see in the windows. And those are some examples of the pictures. So that's all I have today.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Do we have any questions for Gabby? All right.
Yes, now. No, she's not.
All right. Well, we can't continue on for now. Agenda item 11.0 is new business. 11.1 are the meeting minutes of November 18th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All right, I think we're ready for them.
Mrs. Giftis?
Yes.
Ms. Castellanos?
Yes.
Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Leong?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Ms. Trapani Huff?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
And Ms. Giftis?
Yes.
Right, perfect. All right, agenda item 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, and 11.5 are all donations. So I'll turn it over to Jeff to give us some more information.
Okay, so the first one, so I'll just go through each of these.
Yeah.
The first is a Blue Point School donation, which is actually a grant, pre-COVID grant from the Finance Authority of Maine, FAME. And there were materials that were distributed pre-COVID. And there was an event that was planned for spring 2020 that obviously got interrupted by COVID. So FAME insisted we keep the grant and reissue the check. So, and again, it's about investing in college for and start and just different strategies to start saving for college, even when your kids are as young as kindergarten now and up. So that's kind of part of the vision of programs in FAME and how they support schools and school districts. So that's that, and the amount of 500 for Blue Point. Then there's another a Hannaford's Helps check for Pleasant Hill School in the amount of $513. So this is the donations representing funds raised by parents in the community for Pleasant Hill School during the 2021 Hannaford Helps Schools program. And then the Eight Corners check is also Hannaford Helps in the amount of $561. And then finally, we've got backpacks at the high school. So students and staff who run the school store have taken a $500 from revenue from this from the high school store and donating it towards our schools. They make regular donations from revenues generated by the store through sales of spiritware. So those are the 4 donations.
All right, well, thank you very much. Those are very generous donations. Do I have a motion to approve the donations? The 11.2 Blue Point School donation, 11.3 Pleasant Hill School donation, 11.4 Eight Corners School donation, and 11.5 Backpack Program donations as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Giftis,
Yes.
Ms. Castellanos,
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher,
Yes.
Ms. Leong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff,
Yes.
Mrs. Turner,
Yes.
and Ms. Giftis.
Yes.
Agenda item 11.6 is appointments. So 11.61 is a middle school Spanish teacher. 11.62 is the middle school humanities instructional coach, and 11.63 is the Wentworth School Club advisors.
All right, so our 2 appointments. First is middle school Spanish teacher. So Amanda Milholland has been chosen to fill this position. She is a 2007 Scarborough High graduate, which is exciting. She's received her Bachelor of Arts degree from Riviera College in New Hampshire. She was a Spanish teacher at the elementary school, Dunn School, and then for the last 9 years at the middle school in Gray, New Gloucester. And now she's coming home. So that's exciting. We're excited to bring her on board. And then our second appointment is our middle school humanities instructional coach, Andrea Capano, has been selected. She earned her Bachelor's of Science degree in biology from Sweetbriar College in Amherst, Virginia, received both her Master's of Science in Education and her Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies from UNE. She's currently enrolled in the Advanced Ed Leadership Program at UNE and anticipates fall graduating from that program in 2022. She's been a science teacher at Lake Region Middle School for 15 years, and then most recently has been an instructional coach and intervention specialist there for the last 6 years. So we're really excited to bring her expertise to the middle school.
All right.
And the advisors at Wentworth, co-curricular advisors for Photography Club, Art Club 1 and 2, Literature Club, World Language, the Marimba Club, Homework Club, K-Kids, the Ukulele Club, which I'm going to join, and Writing Club.
So do I have a motion to approve the middle school Spanish teacher appointment, the middle school humanities instructional coach appointment, and the Wentworth School Club advisors positions?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Giftis,
Yes.
Ms. Castellanos,
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher,
Yes.
Ms. Leong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff,
Yes.
Mrs. Turner,
Yes.
and Ms. Giftis.
Yes.
All right.
part of the problem is the way that the Zoom may be set up so that people can't come into the meeting once it starts. So if you tried to get on to the meeting to be able to see after the 7 p.m. start. I know that we had that come up a few months ago.
So do we just want to adjourn and we'll?
There's no way for us to get her back in.
Okay, all right. Agenda item 12.0 is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
So what's the plan for the SEF update? That's not able to happen tonight. I'm
It's
assuming.
unable to happen tonight. So we'll have to reach out. We can reach out to her and see if we can get her back on the schedule, perhaps for the next meeting.
Okay, but just before we do head out, I would
Sure.
like to mention that I know that they were doing their drive for fundraising, and
Mhm.
Tuesday was Giving Tuesday, and if you go to their website, you're able to post your donations there. So I'm sure that they would probably would mention that in their presentation. So I'd like to do that now if we can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know that on their website and on their Facebook page, you're able to go and make donations for anybody in the community who's interested. And we'll hear more from Michelle at our next meeting, but they definitely, the funds that are raised are used to provide grants for schools, for teachers that are looking to bring new programming to our district. So it's fantastic work that the foundation's been doing. Yeah. All right, so I think we're ready to vote.
Okay. Mrs. Giftis,
Yes.
Ms. Castellanos,
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher,
Yes.
Ms. Leong,
Yes.
Mrs. Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff,
Yes.
Mrs. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Giftis.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much and have a good evening.